The sound of metal crushing bone never leaves you. 3 months later, I still hear it every time I close my eyes. That split second when my Honda Civic became a twisted sculpture of steel and shattered dreams. My name is Angelina, and I used to believe that surviving was the hard part. "You're being dramatic again," Virginia said, setting down my morning pills, with the kind of precision that screamed disapproval. "The doctor said you should be walking normally by now." I shifted on the couch, every movement sending lightning through my spine. The physical therapy sessions had helped, but chronic pain doesn't follow anyone's timeline, especially not my mother-in-law's. "The pain is real, Virginia. The MRI showed—" "MRIs can be misread." She smoothed her perfectly pressed blouse. "Harold's concerned about your dependency on these medications." Harold, my husband of 4 years, who used to bring me coffee in bed and kiss my forehead when I had headaches. Now he stood in the kitchen doorway, avoiding eye contact. "Angie, Mom's just trying to help," he said, his voice carrying that new tone, the one that made me feel like a burden instead of his wife. "Help?" I reached for my pill organizer, but Virginia had already moved it to the high shelf. "By putting my medication where I can't reach it." "You had your morning dose," Kinley chimed in, appearing with that smug smile she'd perfected since moving back home after her latest breakup. Harold's younger sister had always resented me, but now she wore it like armor. "Maybe you forgot, head injuries can affect memory." "I didn't have a head injury." "Trauma affects the brain in mysterious ways," Virginia said, settling into Harold's father's old recliner like she was holding court. "We're all worried about you." The way she said "worried" made my skin crawl. It was the same tone she'd used when explaining why I shouldn't drive anymore, why I shouldn't handle our finances, why I shouldn't call my friends so often because they have their own lives. "Where's my phone?" I asked, noticing its absence from the coffee table where I'd left it. "Charging in the kitchen," Kinley said too quickly. "You know how you forget to plug it in." I didn't forget. I never forgot. But arguing felt like swimming upstream in concrete. Harold finally looked at me, and for a moment I saw a flicker of the man I married. "Maybe you should rest, babe. You look tired." "I'm always tired because I can't sleep." "The pain is in your head," Virginia finished. "Dr. Morrison said patients often develop psychological dependence on their symptoms. It's quite common. Dr. Morrison had said no such thing. I'd been there. I'd heard every word. But when I opened my mouth to correct her, Harold was already nodding along. "We just want you to get better," he said. But he was looking at his mother when he said it. After they left me alone, finally, I stared at the ceiling and wondered when I'd become the enemy in my own home. When had caring for me become such a burden that they'd rather gaslight me than acknowledge my pain? The house felt different now. Hostile. Every conversation was a minefield. Every request for help met with sighs and eye rolls. They'd moved me to the downstairs guest room for my convenience, but I knew it was really so they could monitor my every move. I pulled myself up, gritting my teeth against the fire in my back, and limped to the window. My car sat in the driveway, still dented from the accident, a daily reminder of how everything changed in an instant. But they didn't know about the Dashcam. Harold had installed it 6 months before the accident, worried about insurance scams. "Better safe than sorry," he'd said, kissing my cheek as he showed me how it worked. The camera had kept recording even after impact, its memory card intact, safely tucked away in my jewellery box upstairs. Virginia and Kinley could take my pills, hide my phone, and whisper their poison in Harold's ear, but they couldn't take what they didn't know existed. I touched the window glass, watching Virginia's silhouette move through the kitchen. She thought she was so clever, so in control. She had no idea what was coming. "Time for your pills, dear," Virginia announced, but when I looked at the organizer, half the compartments were empty. "Where are my afternoon doses?" "You already took them." She didn't even look up from her magazine. Remember, right after lunch. I hadn't eaten lunch. My stomach had been growling for hours. I haven't taken anything since this morning. Angelina. Virginia's voice carried that patronising tone that made me want to scream. We discussed this with Dr. Morrison. The memory issues. There are no memory issues. Harold appeared in the doorway, and I could see it in his face. That look of patient exhaustion, like I was a difficult child throwing a tantrum. What's wrong now? He asked. Your mother is withholding my medication. I'm managing her medication, Virginia corrected. Someone has to, since she can't keep track. Harold, please, look at the organizer. Look at what's missing. He glanced at it for maybe 2 seconds. Mum knows what she's doing. She raised 3 kids. I'm not a child. You're acting like one, Kinley said, breezing in with an armload of my laundry, throwing accusations around, being paranoid. I watched her dump my clothes on the chair, clothes I'd specifically asked her not to wash because the fabric softener she used made my skin break out. Another small cruelty disguised as help. My pain journal, I said, suddenly remembering. Where is it? Kinley's face went blank for a split second. What journal? The one I've been keeping. Dr. Morrison said to track my pain levels, my medication times. Oh, that. She waved her hand dismissively. I threw it out. It was just pages of complaints. Super depressing. You threw out my medical documentation? It wasn't medical anything. It was just you writing down every little ache and pain. Honestly, Angelina, it was like reading a hypochondriac's diary. Harold nodded along. Maybe it's better this way. You were getting obsessed with cataloguing every sensation. Because my doctor told me to. Did he? Virginia asked, tilting her head. Or is that what you remember him saying? The room spun slightly. I gripped the arm of the couch, trying to anchor myself to reality. Had Dr. Morrison asked me to keep a journal? Yes, I was sure of it, wasn't I? I need to call him, I said. Your phone's dead, Kinley said quickly. I forgot to plug it in last night. Then I'll use the house phone. It's being repaired, Virginia said, without missing a beat. Storm damage from last week. There hadn't been a storm last week. I can drive to his office. Absolutely not. Harold's voice was firm. You're not driving anywhere. Not after what happened. The accident wasn't my fault. The police report says otherwise, Virginia said quietly. My blood went cold. What police report? The one that came in the mail yesterday, she continued, pulling a folded paper from her purse. Failure to yield at a red light. Reckless driving. I snatched the paper from her hands, scanning it frantically. The words blurred together, but I could make out enough. According to this report, I had run a red light. I had caused the accident. This is wrong, I whispered. Honey? Harold sat beside me, his voice gentle but condescending. I know it's hard to accept, but no! I stood up too fast, pain shooting through my spine. I didn't run any red light. The other driver, he came out of nowhere. There was no other driver, Virginia said calmly. You hit a telephone pole. That's not what happened. Angelina, please. Harold reached for my hand, but I pulled away. The witnesses, the police, the evidence, it all points to the same thing. You were distracted, maybe tired, and you made a mistake. I don't make mistakes like that. Everyone makes mistakes, Kinley said, but not everyone has the grace to admit them. I looked around the room at their faces, Harold's pity, Virginia's cold satisfaction, Kinley's barely concealed glee. They had an answer for everything, an explanation that made me the problem. I need some air, I said, heading for the back door. Don't go far, Virginia called after me. Dinner's in an hour, and you know how you get when you skip meals. I stepped onto the patio, my hands shaking. The evening air was cool against my skin, but it did nothing to calm the fire building in my chest. From inside, I could hear them talking in hushed tones. I pressed myself against the wall, straining to listen. Getting worse, Harold was saying. It's the medication, Virginia replied. Combined with the trauma, We need to consider more drastic measures." "What kind of measures?" "There are facilities, Harold. Places that specialize in cases like this." My heart stopped. "You mean like a hospital?" "A residential treatment centre, somewhere she can get the help she needs." "I don't know, Mum. That seems extreme." "Is it extreme to want your wife to get better, or would you rather watch her spiral into complete delusion?" I backed away from the door, my mind reeling. They weren't just gaslighting me anymore. They were planning to have me committed. The intervention happened on a Tuesday morning. I should have seen it coming when Harold asked me to join them in the living room for a family meeting. Virginia sat in the centre of the couch like a judge, flanked by Kinley and Harold. Across from them, Harold's cousin Livia had claimed the armchair. When had she arrived? I hadn't heard her come in. "Angelina, please sit." Virginia gestured to the single chair they'd positioned facing them. It felt like a tribunal. "What's this about?" "We're worried about you," Harold said, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. "Your behaviour lately." "My behaviour?" "The paranoia," Kinley interrupted. "The accusations. Yesterday you claimed we were poisoning your food." "I said the milk tasted off." "You threw the entire carton away and accused Mom of tampering with it," Harold said, "because it was sour." "It was fresh," Virginia said calmly. "I bought it that morning." Livia leaned forward, her voice honey-sweet. "Angelina, we all care about you. That's why we're here." "Where's Jamie?" I asked, noticing Harold's younger brother was absent. "Jamie supports this decision," Virginia said quickly. "He just couldn't be here today." "What decision?" Virginia pulled out a folder thick with papers. "We found a wonderful facility, Peaceful Meadows. It specializes in trauma recovery and medication management. You want to have me committed." "We want to get you help," Harold said. "Real help. Professional help." "I don't need to be locked up." "It's not locked up," Livia said, her tone reasonable. "It's residential treatment. Think of it as a retreat. A retreat I can't leave." "You can leave," Virginia said, "once you're better." "And who decides when I'm better?" "You." "The doctors," Harold said. "Medical professionals who understand these things." I looked around the room at their faces. They'd already made up their minds. This wasn't a discussion, it was a sentencing. "I won't sign anything." "You don't have to," Virginia said, sliding papers across the coffee table. "Harold can make medical decisions on your behalf. As your husband, he has that right." "Harold," I turned to him desperate. "You can't seriously be considering this." "Angie, you're not well. The mood swings, the memory problems, the delusions about the accident." "They're not delusions. You insisted there was another car," Kinley said. "The police report clearly shows—" "The police report is wrong." "See?" Virginia spread her hands. "This is exactly what we're talking about. You can't accept reality. My reality is that I'm in pain, and instead of helping me, you're trying to have me declared insane." "No one said insane," Livia interjected smoothly. "We're talking about temporary incapacity, just until you're stable." "Stable according to who?" "According to the doctors who will evaluate you," Harold said. "Angelina, please, just look at the brochures." He pushed glossy pamphlets toward me. Peaceful Meadows looked like a resort, all gardens and smiling people in yoga poses. But I could read between the lines. "Secure facility, 24-hour supervision. Controlled environment. What if I refuse? Then we'll have to pursue other options," Virginia said. "Legal options." "You'd have me forcibly committed." "We'd petition the court," she corrected. "Present evidence of your declining mental state. The medication hoarding, the paranoid episodes, the inability to care for yourself." "I'm not hoarding medication. You're withholding it." "There she goes again," Kinley murmured to Livia. "The court would appoint a guardian," Virginia continued as if I hadn't spoken. "Someone to make decisions in your best interest. And I suppose you've already picked who that would be." "I'm the logical choice," she said. "I have medical training, and I'm family." Virginia had been a nurse 30 years ago, for 2 years, before she married Harold's father and became a professional homemaker. "Harold, please," I turned to my husband one last time. "You know me. You know I'm not crazy." He was quiet for a long moment, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Doubt, maybe even guilt. But then Virginia placed her hand on his shoulder. "It's for her own good," she said softly. "You can see that, can't you?" Harold nodded slowly. I think maybe it would help, just for a little while. I need time to think about this." "Of course," Livia said, "take all the time you need. But, Angelina, the longer you wait, the harder this becomes, for everyone." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," Virginia said, gathering her papers, "that voluntary admission looks much better than involuntary commitment. Courts tend to be more sympathetic to families who've tried the gentle approach first." They filed out, leaving me alone with the brochures scattered across the coffee table, beautiful lies printed on expensive paper. That night I lay in bed listening to Harold's breathing, waiting until I was sure he was asleep. Then I crept upstairs to our old bedroom, to the jewellery box where I'd hidden the Dashcam's memory card. My hands shook as I held the tiny piece of plastic. Such a small thing to hold so much power. I was sliding it back into its hiding place when I heard footsteps in the hallway. I froze, barely breathing, until they passed by. But as I made my way back downstairs, I caught a glimpse of Jamie standing in the kitchen staring out the window. When he saw me, he put his finger to his lips and motioned me over. "They're planning to move fast," he whispered. "Tomorrow morning. Mum's already called the facility." "Jamie, I can't stop them," he said, his voice barely audible. "But I can warn you, whatever you're going to do, you need to do it tonight." He disappeared back upstairs, leaving me standing in the dark kitchen with my heart pounding and the weight of the memory card burning in my palm. I waited until 3 a.m. to call Gillian from the landline in Harold's study. The one Virginia claimed was broken. It worked just fine. "Angelina, Jesus, what time is it? Jill, I need help. They're trying to have me committed." "What? Who's trying to—" "Wait, slow down. Start from the beginning." I told her everything. The gaslighting, the missing medication, the intervention, Jamie's warning. My voice cracked when I got to the part about Harold signing the papers. "That bastard," Gillian said. "I never liked him, but this is evil. There's more. I have dashcam footage from the accident. It proves I didn't cause it. Then why haven't you shown anyone?" "Because they've isolated me completely. No phone, no car, no way to get to the police station. And now they're moving me to this facility tomorrow morning. I'm coming to get you." "No, they'll see your car. Virginia barely sleeps. She'll know something's up." "Then what do you want me to do?" "I need you to request a copy of the police report. The real one, not whatever fake document Virginia showed me. And I need you to call Detective Martinez. He handled my case. Tell him I have new evidence." "Okay, but Angelina, if they're really planning to move you tomorrow—" "I'll figure something out. Just please, help me prove I'm not crazy." "You're not crazy. You're being abused. There's a difference." After I hung up, I crept back to my room, but sleep was impossible. Every sound made me jump. Was that Virginia checking on me, Harold getting up for water, the van from Peaceful Meadows arriving early? At 6 a.m. I heard movement upstairs. Shower running, coffee brewing. The normal sounds of morning, except nothing about this morning was normal. "Good morning, dear," Virginia said when I appeared in the kitchen. "How did you sleep?" "Fine." "Wonderful. I've packed a bag for you. Just essentials. They provide most things at the facility." My suitcase sat by the front door like a coffin. "I haven't agreed to go anywhere. Harold and I discussed it last night. We think it's best if you go today." "Where is Harold?" "Getting dressed. The intake appointment is at 10. "I want to speak with him." "Of course, but first let's get some breakfast in you. You'll need your strength." She set a plate in front of me, scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice. Everything looked normal, but I'd learned not to trust normal in this house. "I'm not hungry." "You need to eat something. The medication on an empty stomach." "What medication?" She held up a small white pill. Just something to help with the anxiety. Dr. Morrison prescribed it. I don't have anxiety medication. You do now. Harold picked it up yesterday. I'm not taking anything until I talk to Harold. Angelina, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Make what harder? Being kidnapped by my own family. It's not kidnapping, it's intervention. Harold appeared in the doorway, fully dressed, car keys in his hand. Ready to go? I'm not going anywhere. Angie, we talked about this. You talked about it. I said I needed time to think. You've had all night to think. And I've decided I'm not going. Virginia stepped closer, the pill still in her palm. Take the medication, Angelina. It will help. No. Harold, help me here. Just take the pill, babe, please. What is it? Something for anxiety, he said, but he wouldn't look at me. What's the name of it? Does it matter? Virginia asked. It's prescribed by your doctor. Then you won't mind telling me what it is. Silence. It's Ativan, Harold said finally. How much? Just a small dose. How much, Harold? 2 milligrams. I laughed, but there was no humour in it. 2 milligrams of Ativan would knock me unconscious. You're planning to drug me. We're planning to help you, Virginia said. Sometimes people need help accepting help. That's called assault. It's called compassion. The doorbell rang, and we all froze. Virginia glanced at the clock, 8:30 a.m. That's early, she murmured. Harold went to answer it, and I heard voices in the foyer, official voices. Mrs. Angelina Ellis, I'm Detective Martinez. We spoke on the phone yesterday. My heart leaped. Gillian had done it. I'm sorry, Detective, Harold said. My wife isn't feeling well today. Maybe you could come back. Actually, sir, this can't wait. We have some questions about the accident report filed in her case. Virginia appeared beside Harold, her face pale. What kind of questions? The kind that require Mrs. Ellis to be present and alert, Detective Martinez said, stepping into the house. Ma'am, I understand you have dashcam footage from the incident. Yes, I said, moving toward him. I've been trying to get someone to look at it for months. Well, we're looking at it now. There seem to be some discrepancies between the footage and the filed report. What kind of discrepancies? Virginia asked. Detective Martinez looked at her with interest. Are you family? I'm her mother-in-law. I see. Well, ma'am, it appears the original report may have been filed incorrectly. The dashcam shows a second vehicle running the red light and fleeing the scene. The room went dead silent. That's impossible, Harold said. The report clearly stated... the report was wrong, Detective Martinez said, which raises some interesting questions about how it got filed that way in the first place. Virginia's hand tightened on the doorframe. These things happen. Paperwork errors. This wasn't a paperwork error, ma'am. This was a deliberate falsification, and we'd like to know why. Detective Martinez set up his laptop on our dining room table while Virginia hovered nearby like a vulture. Harold sat across from me, his face grey with confusion. Now, Mrs. Ellis, I want you to watch this carefully and tell me if you remember anything else about that day. The footage started playing, and I was back in that moment, driving through the intersection, music playing softly, thinking about what to make for dinner. Then the impact, the world spinning, the terrible sound of metal and glass. There, Detective Martinez paused the video. Do you see the red sedan? I leaned forward. In the corner of the frame, barely visible, was another car running the red light at full speed. That's the car that hit me. And you can see here, he advanced the footage frame by frame, the driver doesn't stop, doesn't even slow down. But the report said, Harold started, the report said your wife ran a red light and hit a telephone pole, but this footage shows she had a green light and was struck by a hit-and-run driver. Who filed the false report? I asked. That's what we're trying to determine. The investigating officer swears he filed it correctly, but somehow between his desk and the system, the facts got changed. Virginia cleared her throat. These technical things can be so confusing. Maybe there was just A mix-up? Ma'am, falsifying a police report is a felony. This wasn't a mix-up. Detective Martinez clicked to enhance the image of the red sedan. We've identified the vehicle, registered to a Cruz Diaz. Does that name mean anything to you? I shook my head, but Virginia went very still. No, she said quickly. Never heard of him. Interesting, because Mr. Diaz seems to know your family quite well. When we questioned him yesterday, he mentioned the Ellis name specifically. What did he say? Harold asked. He said he was sorry about the accident, but he'd been told it was handled, that the insurance would cover everything and no one would get in trouble. Told by who? I demanded. Detective Martinez looked directly at Virginia. He said a woman from the Ellis family contacted him, told him to keep quiet about his involvement. That's ridiculous, Virginia said, but her voice was shaking. Why would anyone in our family... Maybe because Mr. Diaz has been having an affair with someone in your family for the past 2 years. The room exploded. What? Harold shot to his feet. That's a lie. Virginia's face was bright red. Is it? Detective Martinez pulled out his phone. Because we found some very interesting text messages on Mr. Diaz's phone. Would you like me to read them? This is harassment, Virginia said. I want you to leave. Ma'am, you're not the homeowner here. And these messages are quite revealing. For instance, this one from 3 days after the accident. Thank you for taking care of everything. I can't lose Harold over this. Harold stared at his mother. Mom, it's not what you think. Or this one. The girl is getting suspicious. We need to discredit her before she figures it out. The girl? I stood up, rage burning in my chest. You mean me? Angelina, please... Virginia reached for me, but I stepped back. You've been having an affair with the man who nearly killed me. It's not like that. And then you covered it up, made me think I was losing my mind. I was protecting this family. You were protecting yourself, Harold's voice cracked. Jesus, Mom, how could you? How could I what? Fall in love? Your father's been dead for 5 years, Harold. I'm allowed to have a life. You're allowed to have a life, but you're not allowed to destroy mine, I screamed. You let me think I was crazy. You tried to have me committed. Because you were becoming a problem. You wouldn't let it go, wouldn't accept the report. Because the report was a lie, Detective Martinez held up his hand. Mrs. Ellis, the elder Mrs. Ellis, I need you to come with me for questioning. I'm not going anywhere. Ma'am, you can come voluntarily or I can arrest you for obstruction of justice, filing a false report, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Your choice. Harold. Virginia turned to her son, desperation in her eyes. Don't let them do this to me. Harold looked at her like he'd never seen her before. You tried to have my wife committed to cover up your affair. I was trying to protect you from the scandal. You were trying to protect yourself from going to jail. I need to see those text messages, I said to Detective Martinez. He handed me his phone and I scrolled through the conversation between Virginia and Cruz. My hands shook as I read message after message detailing their plan to discredit me, to make me seem unstable, to have me removed from the picture entirely. There's more, Detective Martinez said gently. Mr. Diaz admitted that Mrs. Ellis asked him to meet her that day. They were together when the accident happened. Together how? In his car. She was with him when he ran the red light. The room spun. She was in the car that hit me. According to his statement, yes. She convinced him to flee the scene, then helped orchestrate the cover-up. I looked at Virginia, this woman who had tormented me for months, who had made me question my own sanity, who had tried to have me locked away to hide her crimes. You were there, I whispered. You watched him hit me and you drove away. Angelina, you left me bleeding in that car while you went home and planned how to destroy my life. I never meant for you to get hurt. But when I did get hurt, you decided to use it. You decided to make me the villain in your story. Detective Martinez stood up. Mrs. Ellis, you're under arrest. As he read Virginia her rights, she kept looking at Harold, kept trying to explain, to justify, to make him understand. But Harold just stood there, staring at her like she was a stranger. The facility, I said suddenly. "Peaceful Meadows, you were going to have me committed this morning." "That was for your own good. That was to silence me permanently." Detective Martinez paused in his arrest procedure. "What facility?" "They were planning to have me involuntarily committed for psychiatric treatment. Today." "Based on what grounds?" "Based on lies," Harold said quietly. "All lies." As they led Virginia away in handcuffs, she turned back one last time. "This will destroy our family," she said. "No," I replied. "You already did that." 3 days later, Virginia made bail. Harold's aunt Sadie posted it, muttering about family loyalty and standing by each other. The first thing Virginia did was call a family dinner. "We need to discuss this situation," she announced over the phone, her voice cold and controlled. "All of us, tonight at 7. "Mom, I don't think—" Harold started. 7 o'clock, Harold. Don't disappoint me again." I watched him hang up, his hands shaking slightly. "You don't have to go," I said. "Yes, I do. She's still my mother. She's also a criminal who tried to have me committed. I know that, but I need to hear what she has to say." By 6:45, they'd all arrived. Virginia sat at the head of the dining room table like nothing had happened. Kinley flanked her right side, shooting daggers at me with her eyes. Livia had claimed the seat across from Virginia, looking like she was attending a board meeting. Jamie sat as far from his mother as possible, barely making eye contact with anyone. And then there was Cruz. He walked in at exactly 7 o'clock, and I nearly choked on my water. "What is he doing here?" Harold demanded. "Cruz is part of this family now," Virginia said calmly. "He deserves to be included in family discussions." "He's the one who hit my wife." "It was an accident," Cruz said, his voice heavily accented. "I never meant—" "You fled the scene. I was scared. Virginia, she told me it would be okay, that she would handle everything. By framing me," I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor, "by making me think I was losing my mind." "Sit down, Angelina," Virginia commanded. "We're going to settle this like adults." "Adults don't gaslight their family members." "Adults don't air their dirty laundry to the police," Kinley snapped. "What dirty laundry? The truth?" "The truth," Virginia said, "is that this family was perfectly fine until you decided to make trouble. I made trouble. You covered up a hit and run. I protected this family from scandal. You protected yourself from prison." Livia cleared her throat. "Perhaps we should focus on moving forward. What's done is done." "What's done is attempted murder," I said. "That's a bit dramatic," she replied. "It was a car accident." "A car accident that was covered up, with a false police report followed by months of psychological abuse designed to make me seem mentally unstable." "You are mentally unstable," Kinley said. "Look at you right now, ranting and raving. I'm angry. There's a difference." Is there?" Virginia asked, and went, "Because from where I sit, you look like someone who needs professional help." Harold finally found his voice. "Stop it. All of you, just stop." "Harold, honey," Virginia's tone turned syrupy sweet. "I know this is difficult, but we need to think about what's best for everyone. What's best for everyone is the truth." "The truth is messy," Livia said. "The truth hurts people. Sometimes it's better to let sleeping dogs lie." "Sleeping dogs?" I laughed. But there was no humour in it. "Your mother tried to have me committed." "Maybe she had a point," Kinley muttered. That's when I made my decision. I'd been planning this moment for days, ever since Detective Martinez had shown me those text messages. I'd prepared for this exact scenario. I stood up and walked to the living room, returning with my laptop. "What are you doing?" Harold asked, showing everyone the truth. I connected the laptop to the large TV mounted on the dining room wall. Virginia's face went pale. "Angelina, don't what? Don't show them the Dashcam footage." "We've all seen it," Livia said dismissively. "Have you? Have you seen all of it?" I clicked play, and the footage began. But this time I didn't stop at the accident. I let it keep rolling, showing the aftermath, the moments when Cruz's car pulled over a block away, when Virginia got out and walked back toward my smoking vehicle. "Oh my God," Jamie whispered. On screen, Virginia approached my car, looked inside at me bleeding and unconscious, then turned around and walked away. "You left me there," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "You saw me bleeding and you left me there to die." "I went to get help. You went back to Cruz's car and drove away. The timestamp shows you were gone for 20 minutes before the first responders arrived." Cruz was staring at the screen in horror. "Virginia, you said she was okay. You said she was awake and talking." "She was fine. I was unconscious with a concussion and internal bleeding." "But you survived," Virginia said, as if that made everything okay. "No thanks to you." Harold was staring at his mother like he'd never seen her before. "You watched her almost die, and you did nothing." "I did what I had to do to protect this family." "You did what you had to do to protect yourself." I clicked to the next file, the audio recordings I'd made on my phone before they'd taken it away. Virginia's voice filled the room, crystal clear. "She's becoming a problem, Harold. We need to consider more permanent solutions." "What kind of solutions?" "There are facilities, places where people like her can get the help they need." "You mean mental hospitals?" "I mean places where she can't cause any more trouble for this family." The room was dead silent, except for the sound of Virginia's recorded voice plotting my destruction. "Turn it off," Kinley said weakly. But I wasn't done. I had more recordings, more evidence, more proof of their systematic campaign to gaslight me into submission. "Please," Cruz said, standing up, "I can't listen to any more." "Why?" I asked. "Because you're finally realizing what you helped her do?" He looked at Virginia with disgust. "You told me she was trying to blackmail you. You said she was dangerous." "She is dangerous." "No," he said firmly, "you are dangerous. You made me part of this, and now I'm going to prison because of your lies." "Cruz, please." "I'm done." He headed for the door. "I'm calling my lawyer. I'm telling them everything." "If you do that, you'll go to prison too." "I'm going to prison anyway, but at least I'll go with a clear conscience." He left, slamming the door behind him. Virginia looked around the table at her family, her children staring at her in horror, Livia calculating her next move, Sadie nowhere to be seen. "This is all your fault," she said, pointing at me. "You've destroyed this family." "No," I replied, closing my laptop. "I've just shown them who you really are." The explosion came 30 seconds after Cruz left. "You vindictive little bitch!" Virginia lunged across the table at me, but Harold caught her arm. "Mum, stop! She's destroyed everything I've worked for." "Everything you've worked for?" Harold's voice cracked. "You mean the lies, the cover-up, the plan to have my wife committed?" "I was protecting you." "From what?" "The truth." Kinley stood up, her face twisted with rage. "This is all her fault. She could have just accepted the accident and moved on. But no, she had to keep digging. I kept digging because you were gaslighting me. We were trying to help you." "Help me? You stole my medication. You destroyed my medical records. You tried to convince my own husband I was insane." "Maybe you are insane," Kinley screamed. "Maybe you're so crazy you can't see that we were trying to save you from yourself." "Save me from what?" "From the truth." Virginia broke free from Harold's grip. "You want the truth so badly. Fine. You were never supposed to survive that accident." The room went dead, silent. "What did you say?" Harold whispered. Virginia's face went white as she realized what she'd just admitted. "I didn't mean—" "You wanted me dead," I said, the words coming out flat and emotionless. "No, that's not—" "You and Cruz planned it. The accident wasn't random." "It was an accident." "Was it? Because it sounds like you just said I wasn't supposed to survive." Livia leaned forward, her eyes sharp with interest. "Virginia, what exactly are you saying?" "I'm saying nothing. I'm upset. I misspoke." "You misspoke about wanting me dead?" Harold was staring at his mother like she was a stranger. "Mum, please tell me you didn't..." "Didn't what? Plan to kill your precious wife? Of course I didn't." "Then what did you mean?" Virginia looked around the table, trapped. I meant that if she had died in the accident, none of this would be happening. We wouldn't be sitting here. Our family wouldn't be destroyed. Cruz wouldn't be going to prison. So you're saying you wish I had died?" "I'm saying this family would be better off." Jamie stood up abruptly. "I can't listen to this anymore." "Sit down, Jamie," Virginia commanded. "No, I'm done. I'm done with this family. I'm done with your lies, and I'm done pretending any of this is normal." "You don't mean that." "I mean every word. Angelina, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. I'm sorry I let them do this to you. And I'm sorry my mother is a monster." "Jamie!" Virginia's voice was shrill. "She is a monster, Mum. Look what you've done. Look what you've turned us all into." He walked out, leaving the rest of us staring at each other across the wreckage of what used to be a family dinner. "Well," Livia said, breaking the silence, "this has been illuminating." "What's that supposed to mean?" Harold asked. "It means I think it's time we discussed the family assets. With Virginia likely going to prison, someone needs to manage the estate." "The estate?" Kinley looked confused. "Your father's life insurance, the house, the investments. Someone needs to be appointed as trustee." "I'm not going to prison," Virginia said. "Virginia, you just admitted to wishing your daughter-in-law was dead in front of multiple witnesses. After being arrested for covering up the accident that nearly killed her, you're absolutely going to prison. I have a good lawyer. You have a public defender because you spent all your money on bail and bribes." "Bribes?" Harold's voice was sharp. Livia smiled. "Oh, you didn't know. Your mother paid off the investigating officer to file the false report. $50,000. That's why she had to mortgage the house." "You mortgaged Dad's house?" Harold looked sick. "I did what I had to do. You committed bribery. I protected this family. You destroyed this family." Harold slammed his hand on the table. "Everything Dad built, everything he left us, you've destroyed it all. Your father would understand. My father would be ashamed of you." Virginia recoiled like she'd been slapped. "I want you out," Harold said quietly. "What?" "I want you out of this house. Tonight. This is my house. This is my house. Dad left it to me, remember? You just live here. Harold, please, get out. Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't care. Go to Sadie's. Go to a hotel. Go to hell. Just get out of my house." Virginia looked around the table one last time, searching for an ally, but found none. Even Kinley was staring at her hands, unable to meet her eyes. "This isn't over," she said, grabbing her purse. "Yes, it is," I said. "It's over. The police have everything, the dashcam footage, the text messages, Cruz's confession, the bribery evidence. It's all over." "You think you've won?" "I think I've survived. That's enough. You've destroyed an entire family." "No," Harold said, standing up. "You did that. You did that the moment you decided covering up your affair was more important than my wife's life." Virginia walked to the door, then turned back. "You'll regret this. All of you. When the scandal breaks, when the newspapers get hold of this story, when your precious reputation is in ruins, you'll wish you'd stood by family." "You're not family," Harold said. "Family doesn't try to destroy each other. Family protects each other. Family doesn't leave each other bleeding in a car wreck." She left without another word, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. The silence that followed was deafening. "So," Livia said eventually, "about those assets." "Get out," Harold said. "Harold, be reasonable. Get out of my house, now." She gathered her things with wounded dignity. "You're making a mistake. You'll need someone to help you navigate the legal issues." "I'll figure it out." After she left, it was just Harold, Kinley and me sitting around the table with the remains of our family dinner. "What happens now?" Kinley asked quietly. Now, I said, we deal with the consequences. The courtroom was packed when Virginia's sentencing hearing began. I sat in the front row, Harold beside me, both of us watching his mother face the consequences of her choices. Your Honour, the prosecutor began, the defendant orchestrated an elaborate conspiracy involving bribery, filing false police reports, and psychological abuse of the victim. She showed no remorse, even attempting to have the victim involuntarily committed to cover up her crimes. Virginia's public defender did his best, but the evidence was overwhelming. The dashcam footage, the text messages, Cruz's testimony, the bribery payments, it all painted a picture of calculated cruelty. Mrs. Ellis, the judge said, looking directly at Virginia, you had multiple opportunities to do the right thing. Instead, you chose to compound your crimes with more lies, more manipulation, more abuse. The court sentences you to 8 years in state prison. Virginia's legs gave out. The bailiff had to help her to her feet as they led her away in handcuffs. She looked back at Harold once, her eyes pleading, but he was staring straight ahead. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Mrs. Ellis, how does it feel to see justice served? Are you planning to sue the family? What's next for you and your husband? Harold pushed through them without comment, but I stopped. I just want people to know that gaslighting is real, I said. When someone makes you question your own sanity, when they make you doubt your own memories and perceptions, that's abuse, and it can happen to anyone. What would you say to other victims? Trust yourself, document everything, and don't let anyone convince you that your pain isn't real. We drove home in silence. The house felt different now, lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted from the walls themselves. Kinley called, Harold said as we walked inside. She's moving to Portland, says she needs a fresh start. And Jamie? He got into that graduate program at UC Davis. He's leaving next week. What about you? Harold sat heavily on the couch. The same couch where I'd spent months being tortured by his family. I don't know. I keep thinking about all the signs I missed, all the times I should have stood up for you. You were manipulated too. That's not an excuse. You're my wife. I should have protected you. You did protect me, in the end. Too late. I sat beside him, wincing slightly as my back protested. The pain was still there, it always would be, but it felt manageable now. Real, not something to be ashamed of or hidden. Harold, I need to ask you something. Okay. Do you want to stay married? He was quiet for a long time. Do you? I don't know. I look at you and I see the man I fell in love with. But I also see the man who was ready to have me committed based on his mother's lies. I was scared. She made everything sound so reasonable, so logical. She said you were getting worse, that you needed help. She said I was crazy. She said you were sick. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I was sitting, it felt the same. Harold reached for my hand, then stopped himself. I failed you, I know that. I don't know if I can forgive myself, let alone expect you to forgive me. I'm not ready to forgive you, but I'm not ready to give up either. What does that mean? It means we try, we go to counselling, we figure out how to trust each other again, if we can. And if we can't, then at least we'll know we tried. The doorbell rang, interrupting us. Harold went to answer it, returning with Detective Martinez. Mrs. Ellis, I wanted to update you on the case. Cruz pled guilty to all charges. He'll serve 4 years, and his driver's license is permanently revoked. What about the bribery? Officer Reynolds has been arrested. He's cooperating fully, hoping for a reduced sentence. And Livia, Detective Martinez smiled grimly. Turns out she's been embezzling from the family trust for years. Virginia wasn't the only one with secrets. She'll be facing her own charges soon. After he left, Harold and I sat in the quiet house, processing everything that had happened. The reporters will keep calling, Harold said. Let them. I'm not hiding anymore. What about the lawsuit? The insurance company wants to settle. We'll take it. Use the money to start over. Where? I don't know yet. Somewhere without ghosts. Harold nodded. Angelina? Yeah. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to know, I'm sorry. I know you are. Is that enough? I looked around the house where I'd been tortured, where I'd nearly lost my mind, where I'd finally found my strength. It's a start, I said. My phone buzzed with a text from Gillian. Saw the news. How are you holding up? I typed back, still standing, still fighting, still here. And for the first time in months, that felt like victory enough. The pain in my back flared as I stood up, a reminder that some wounds never fully heal. But I was done pretending it didn't exist, done letting others define my reality. I was done being a victim. I was ready to be a survivor.